As it was mentioned, my name is Preya Samsundar. I'm the senior editor and writer for Alpha News, and I've been with them for a little over a year now. So walking in there, I mean, I covered, little political things happening at the legislature, different races, those smaller local things. But it really wasn't until August when my editor, Donna, sent me a text message and said, check out this story from Powerline Blog. I had no idea what Powerline Blog was. I had no idea who Scott Johnson was or John Hinderrocker. So when I saw this seemingly innocent article about the first Somali candidate for any office in the United States running in Cedar Riverside, and had allegedly married her brother, I looked at it and I laughed. And I called my boss and I was like, you seriously want me to investigate this? Like, are you kidding me right now? Like, this is fake. And so she's like, just do it. These guys are credible. They're lawyers. And I was like, and? But I looked into it because I was like, we're just going to prove them wrong. We'll leave it at that and it'll blow away. I started digging in deeper and deeper, and lo and behold, there were two certificates for marriages to different people in different times. And she wouldn't give an answer, and she still hasn't to this day. Whenever you ask her about it, actually her first response that was so mind-blowing to me is that she blamed Donald Trump. She blamed Donald Trump for Scott Johnson asking her about the marriage certificates. Now, being a former communications director, I immediately thought to myself, okay, if I'm in this situation, if I'm running this campaign, here's what I would do. I'd simply say, no, the allegations are completely false. I don't know anything about this. It must be a mistake. Most people are going to be like, okay, we're going to let it go. But she blamed Donald Trump for his racist ideology that would try to pick on a poor, innocent African immigrant that was trying to make a better life for herself. And that was a tipping point that I knew, oh no, she's lying. But it's not only that led me to believe that she really did marry her brother. I grew up around the immigrant community. My own parents came to this country, my dad almost 40 years ago, my mom 23, to this country to find a better life. My own family, even now, who still remain back home in South America, continue to try to find legal ways to come to this country. And I have watched the immigration process all my life. My mother was still living back home while my dad was an American citizen when they got married. And so I've seen the process, and I've heard first eyewitness accounts of what happens when a non-American citizen marries a citizen and what the immigration process is like. And it didn't add up. And that is how I knew that she was telling a lie. Now, mainstream media did do their due diligence to an extent in asking the questions about whether or not she had married her brother. But they stopped. And I didn't. In fact, I tracked down her brother / her legal husband. I should point that out, that right now the state legislature's website, her home page says that she is married with 3 kids. Beforehand, Wikipedia had listed her husband as Ahmed Hersey. After my reporting, it listed her husband as her brother. So I'm very proud to have changed Wikipedia. But she hasn't answered the questions. But I did track down the brother through various means. I found his resume. I contacted the guys that employed him, bugging them for his phone number, his email, and finally he responded. And I actually had the opportunity to have a conversation with him, and he lied to me.
He lied.
It was really interesting. So he, at that time, and to my knowledge, currently lives in London, England. And so he kept denying that it was him, that he was not the man married to Miss Omar, and so I asked him to confirm, where he went to school. He's like, yeah, I did go to North Dakota State. And so I asked him, okay, can you give me the years that you went? And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And he gave me the years, and then I asked him for his birthday, and he gave me a fake birthday. So the birthday, I should say, that was different than the one listed on the marriage certificate. So I called North Dakota State University, and I said, look, I know you guys can't give me a lot of information, but I do know that you can confirm for me who did attend your university and what year. So when I gave them the information, the birthday, the name, and the year that he supposedly attended, they told me no one ever went to their school at that time. But when I asked them about the Ahmed Elmi, that went to the university at the times I suspected that he had went, which would have been the same time that Ilhan had moved to Fargo, North Dakota to go to school. Coincidentally enough, that man attended school at the same time she did, at the same university. And I had also tracked down proof that her cultural husband, Ahmed Hersey, this is the man that she currently touts as her husband, had also moved to Fargo, North Dakota at that time. So all three of them were living in the same city at the same time. So according to Representative Omar's statements, she had a cultural divorce from Hersey in 2007, got married in early 2008 to her brother, and they never divorced. And the crazy thing to me is that she said that she was in the process of getting a divorce, and that was during the election. After the election, she said it was impossible because the fees were too expensive, and that it was impossible to get a divorce while he was in London. Well, there's a problem with that. In the United States, you have the right to get a divorce as the only party, and Minnesota does consent to that law. So as an individual here who's married, say you decide you want to get divorced from your spouse, you technically don't need their consent. You can go to a judge, and while it is a lengthier process, it can be done. But she refuses to do so, which means Mr. Elmi, wherever he is, still has access to the United States. But that really was a tipping point for my life changing drastically. I decided not to go to law school after all. And shortly after, Janet introduced me to Pete Hegseth, who arranged for me to be on Fox News on Labor Day morning, where I was able to share the story of Ilhan Omar and her two husbands to the nation.